Hello all. Our topic for today is LVDT, which stands for Linear Variable Differential Transducer. Now linear because it converts linear displacement into electrical signals. Variable because the distance can be varied. Differential because the output of the whatever circuit we have, the voltage, output voltage is found out by finding out the difference between the two coils, which I'll be talking of. And transducer, so basically a transducer is something which converts mechanical or physical displacement into electrical signals. This is an important factor. A transducer is something which converts a mechanical or a physical displacement into electrical signals. So linear displacement, which can be varied, is converted into electrical signals here. Now let's look at the construction of LVDT. In short, I'll be using time and again LVDT instead of saying whole linear variable differential transducer. So LVDT basically consists of a movable arm. So this is a movable arm we have. Now on either sides of the movable arm is transformer windings. This is the primary winding, which is connected to alternating current, which is our input current. On the other hand, we have two windings. So in total you have three windings, one primary and two secondary. These two secondary windings are identical and placed on either side of the primary winding. So they are placed at equidistance from the primary winding on opposite sides, and the number of turns and everything else is exactly the same in both the secondary windings. Now these two secondary windings are actually connected in series, so they are opposite in direction but connected in series. I'll complete the circuit from here on. So here we have a diode, and even here we have a diode. This is the series connection of the two secondary coils. Here you have resistances. So this is the differential amplifier, as you can see. So not amplifier exactly, but here you calculate the voltage difference. This is the voltage divider. And from here we have, this is basically for DC analysis, which I'll do later, followed by the output here. So what happens is, this movable coil is actually called a core and is made up of a ferromagnet. So it's a bar magnet or a coil which is a ferromagnet called the core. One end of this is fixed to what we have to move. So suppose this is the fixed end and here is the object which I want to move. So one end is fixed, connected to this moving object, and the other end is a free end. Now when I apply AC current to this primary, this current has to be of certain frequency and amplitude to excite the magnet to produce a mutual inductance with the secondary coilings. So in our case, generally this frequency has to be of the range of 1 to 10K, and even the amplitude has to be a substantial amount. In our case, so for our kit, this frequency is generally set at 4 kilohertz and the amplitude is set at 10 volt peak to peak. So this current which is applied here, AC current, causes a voltage to be induced in each of the secondary coils because of mutual inductance with the primary coil. Now even if I move this core, the frequency remains the same, the frequency remains constant, but what happens is the amplitude changes. The reason being, as I am going to move the core, the mutual inductance with the two coils of primary will vary, and because of the varying mutual inductance, the displacement is causing a change in the voltage, and therefore the readings will also change. So as the core moves, the voltage changes, and since the two are connected in series, the output we get, I already told you, is the difference. So if this gives me a voltage of ES1, secondary coil 1, and this one gives me a voltage of ES2, the output voltage is generally ES1 minus ES2. I already covered this point that the output voltage is the difference of the two voltages which we get because of the two secondary windings. So it is given as ES1 minus ES2. So now let's start. Suppose this magnet is at null position. Now I am starting the working. Suppose the magnet is at null position. So it is at equal distance from secondary coil 1 and secondary coil 2. Since it is at equal distance, that means ES1 will be equal to ES2. So I am saying at null position, the core is at equal distance from secondary coil 1 and 2. So the mutual inductance is same. So therefore ES1 will be equal to ES2, and at this point my output will be equal to 0 volts. At this point my output will be 0 volts. Now what happens is when I move this coil. So suppose I move this coil towards the lower side. Because of this, one of them, ES1 or ES2, will increase. In this case, ES2 will increase. So if ES2 increases, what will happen is your output will go, it will increase from 0 to max but in negative order. So the output increases from 0 to max, but what happens is this is the input wave, so the output wave goes out of phase with the input wave. The output wave goes out of phase with the input wave. Third case is if I am moving this core towards the other side. So this was null position. First I moved towards ES2. Now I am moving my core towards ES1. So when you are moving towards ES1, because of mutual inductance being more with ES1 or coil 1, ES1 will increase. So again, at null I was at 0. So I will go again from 0 to max. But in this case, both input and output wave are going to be in phase, because ES1 minus ES2 will give a positive this. Amplitude will not be same. I am sorry for drawing that equal, because obviously you are subtracting, so values will vary, but they will be in phase. So maybe the amplitude will look something like this. This is ES1 minus ES2, but the two of them are in phase. So as we can see, the magnitude of the voltage, output voltage, is actually proportional to the distance moved, because according to the distance, the mutual inductance changes, which changes the values of ES1 and ES2, which in turn gives us out of phase or in phase waveforms from 0 to max on both the ends, be it out phase or in phase. Now this is AC analysis. Suppose I want to do DC analysis of the same circuitry. So what will happen is, till here my circuit is going to be the same. I will have 3 ends, A, B, C. In fact, I don't even need these diodes, but I will have A, B, C. After A, B, C, I am just editing this. So I'll rather just erase this part actually. After A, B, C, what I'll have is a rectifier circuit. So you know what a rectifier does. A rectifier converts AC to DC, and from this rectifier circuit we will have here a digital circuit. This digital, not circuit but actually digital indicator. So this digital indicator will give us the DC output. In this case we are connecting a CRO and seeing in phase and out of phase. For digital circuit, you know, DC waveform will only be in one direction, like it will either be positive half or negative half. So we are taking it to the positive half. So this digital indicator will just give us the amplitude. We don't need to view it on the CR. So let's move to the experimental setup. So this is a experimental setup. These are the two primary ends of the coil. So you will connect these, like this is the primary coil here, as you can see the diagram. This is basically the core which we'll be displacing. It's actually internally connected over here. This is the movable core. These are the secondary coils. Now, as I had shown in the diagram, the two secondary coils are connected in series. So as you can see, you will connect the dotted lines. So the first step is connect all the dotted lines of the primary coil to the signal generator, secondary coil to the other secondary coil, say S1 to S2. Now what we'll do is, I've already connected the LVDT. I have to first check my input wave. As I told you, we'll set it at 4 kilohertz with 10 volt peak to peak amplitude. I have kept it on ground, and this is the sine wave oscillator using what you will set it to 4 kilohertz, 10 volt peak to peak. Okay, switch this on, sorry. So this is on 2, so it should be 2 into 5. So yeah, this is 2 into 5. So this is my 10 volts peak to peak, and you can measure the time period and then convert it into frequency. You will get 10 what we need, 4 kilohertz, correct. So now moving on to the next part, what we have to do is check our output between the two secondary coils. So I'll connect one end to first secondary coil. So this is at point A and this is at point C, which is the second secondary coil, and this difference will come on the screen as the output waveform. So let's see, this is the output. Now as you can see, this is out of phase because I have moved to one side at point 10. So we are taking from 0 to 20. At 10 you will get in phase, like the point 10 is a null point. From 10 to 0 you will get in phase, from 10 to 20 you will get out of phase. So I have kept it at 20. So as you can see, the waveform is out of phase here. Just see the waveform once, it is out of phase. And now I'll start moving this and keep looking at the waveform. So I'm moving inwards. This is still out of phase, but from maximum we are going to, towards the minimum, that is we'll get at 1.0. So we'll keep moving. Now this is somewhere near 10. Now as you can see, it's almost 0. So this is our null point, and now it starts moving from again 0 to max and in phase. So these are the two sides of the AC analysis. We got 0 to max out of phase and 0 to max in phase. So all you have to do is just see the distance. So at 20, what is the reading? You can write 0 as null, and from 0 to 10 in phase and 0 to 10 out phase, or you can write 0 to 20 in your table and just write down the amplitude of each of these. So you will see the analysis. Now this is the first part. For the second part, as I told you, for DC analysis we don't need the CRO. So I'll just switch off the CRO. Remove these connections. And what I'll do is just connect. As you can see, this is the rectifier and the detector circuit, and this is the digital indicator. So I will just connect these quickly. So to connect, I had shown in the diagram that the A, B and C have to be connected to rectifier detector circuit. So this is A to A. You have a B to B, a C to C, and from this DC rectifier output to the digital indicator, I will again connect this. Now at point 10, at the value 10, I have to keep it not at 0 because some error of the circuitry, so I'll keep it at 0.1. So first thing I'll do is take it at 10. So this is 10. At 10 I will keep this as 0.1. So this is actually already 0.1. You can do that using this. So yeah. Now what I have to do is move from 10 towards 20 and from 10 towards 0 and note down the readings. So let's start. First I'll go from 10 to 0, but either for safety you can keep it at 0.2 also is fine. So as I move this, the readings will change. You can see the reading as I'm changing. The readings are changing towards negative. You will note down the readings till 0, and then once done, I'm not gone till 0. I'll again move towards this end. At 10 I will get something about 0.1, and as I increase this, the readings will increase. So this is the digital circuitry on the two ends. That ends the experiment.